I'm going to show you the exact scan settings I use to find stocks right before they blow up. Using the scanner, I found my best ever trade on Riot, which netted me over 2,000%. It also found me Home Depot, which grew over 600%. And also Kava, which I'm up close to almost 400% on. As well as a bunch of other trades that have netted in me making 6 figures trading. And it also allowed me to grow over 5 different small accounts over 400% in just a few different weeks. I'm about to dive in, but stick until the end because I'm not only going to show you how to find these stocks, but also how to trade them so you can catch these big moves. Okay, so let's start with the software that I use, which is Finviz. Now, Finviz is a free website that I use to scan for my stocks. You simply head over to finviz.com and you'll pull up a page that looks like this. Now, they have a lot of really cool features, but the only thing that I use on here is the screener. So what you want to do is head over to the top left and hit screener, and that's going to pull up a page that looks like this. Now, the first thing you want to do is head over to the All tab right here, because that's going to show all the different filters that we can use to scan for the different stocks that we want to do. Now, as you can see, when you first pull up here with no different filters on, there's going to be about 9,000 different stocks on here that you can trade. But obviously, what we want to do is start with our settings to make sure we dial this down so we have our list of stocks that we know are going to go absolutely crazy. So I'm going to show you 2 different scan settings, okay? And the first one is for bullish setups, ones that we think are going to just go straight up, and another one is going to be for bearish setups, one that we think are going to dump, which obviously we can take advantage of through puts, okay? So first thing you want to do is, obviously, since we're trading options, you want to head over here and click optionable, okay? If you see this option/short, you want to make sure that obviously the trades we're trading or the tickers we're trading have options on them. So that's the first thing. Now, the other thing that's really, really important is going to be the price. Now, depending on what prices you want to trade, you can kind of set this what you want. Typically for me, what I found is I only like trading stocks over $20. I sometimes find a lot of stocks that are smaller than that, penny stocks, they just don't move as much. It's a little bit harder to capture those crazy moves. But ones that are over $20 are typically a pretty good bet when it comes to the stocks that I want to be trading. Now, the third thing you're going to want to change is the volume. Now, average volume, there's a few different options here. There's average volume, current volume, relative volume. I typically use average volume, and what I'll typically do is start this at over 400K. Now, depending on how many stocks we get down to, which I'll show you in a second, you actually want to bump this up to about 1 million. But for now, to keep it clean, we're going to go with over 400K. That should leave us with a decent amount, and then we can go from there onto the next steps. Which the next steps are simply going to be the performance. Now, it's a very, very simple 2-step thing that you want to do to enable performance, right? The first one is simply going to be our quarter. We want to add this to plus 10%, okay? Because this is going to show us stocks that have been increasing over the past quarter, at least 10%. So ones that already have momentum, ones that have strong buyers, ones that can get price going forward, because that's going to be really, really important. Now, the next thing we want to look for is, in the short term, we want to see a pullback, right? If something just goes straight up, I don't necessarily want to be buying that. We want to see something that has been going up, but has pulled back and now is in a good buying opportunity. And the cool thing about Finviz is you can have a second performance on it. And so with this one, what we want to do is change this to say week down. Now, if you want, you can sometimes bump this up to about quarter to plus 20% and then week down 10%. I don't like to do that. Week down typically just means in the past week, we're down. So we're pulling back from the past quarter, which means we're in a potential buying area where we can see price continue to make a higher move. Now, at this point in time, we have about 336 stocks to go through. Now, this is quite a bit, and at this point, I would say if you're anything above 200 or 150, then you want to change the average volume a little bit higher, okay? If you're still anywhere below that, you can keep the volume where it is, but typically, I'll go ahead and move this up to 1 million, and we'll see we have about 204 stocks, which is perfect. That's a decent amount of stocks that we want to look through to essentially get our watch list to get these stocks going. Now, before I get into how do we actually sort through 200 different stocks, because that is a lot to go through, I actually want to go over the opposite scan settings first, because it's very, very simple. It's a very small tweak. Quick 10-second break. So I actually have everything I'm talking about in this video in a free PDF that I want to give to you as well. I'm going to leave all of this in a link in the description below. It's basically my free community. We have over 10,000 people inside of it. But once you're inside, you click Classroom, you go to Stock Scanning Course, you click this, and then it's right there. It's yours 100% for free. Make sure you do it at the end of the video because I still want to show you exactly how to trade it in just a few minutes. Back into the video. And all you have to do if you want to do this is simply just change these ones, right? If we're looking for bullish setups, quarter plus 10% week down, we're looking for the same exact thing on a bearish setup. So that would essentially be quarter down 10%, right? Which means we're in the past quarter, price has been going down. So we want to see something that has a lot of selling pressure where price keeps going down. And we want to change this to be a week up. So we're seeing price come back up, and that way we can have a opportunity where we can look to short and have price continue to move lower. Now with this one here, we only have 21 different stocks, which is really not a lot of stocks to look through. Typically, I want to see a little bit more than that. So what I'll typically do is bring this back down to over 400K. That's just going to be 35, still not a lot, but that's okay. The market's been ripping recently, especially in the past quarter, so it makes sense that not a lot of stocks are on the down move. But what I want to do is go back to the quarter up 10%, week down. We'll start with the bullish setups, and then I can get into the bearish ones and show you exactly how to trade it and make money from it. So let me go ahead and make this back to 1 million. And you can see we now have our total list of about 206 different stocks. Now at this point, we obviously want to narrow this down, right? There's not 200 different stocks that are just going to go straight up. We can look to buy options on them. This is when we want to apply the strategy portion to the actual setup. And so what I want to do at this point is click on the charts tab, okay? And this is going to show us all the different stocks and a nice outlook. We can get just a very basic idea of what these stocks actually look like. And you can see it typically does it in alphabetical order. We have a lot of different pages to go through, but this entire process I'm about to show you can be done in about 30 minutes to an hour. And you can do this on the weekends and the start of the weekday, whatever it is you want to find all these different stocks for you. Now, at this point in time, what I'll typically do is also have up my charting platform, which is TradingView, okay? We're on the Kava ticker right now, but you can use whatever charting platform you want. I love TradingView. You can just think or swim. It doesn't matter. You can also use the charting platform on here. Personally, I just like to chart on here. And so I like to have both these pulled up either side by side or somewhere in the same different tab. So at least I can go back and forth and look at them. And what I'll do is typically open up a fresh watch list. So I have, all swings. I have a new swings. I have a bunch of different watch lists on here. But we'll go ahead and create a new list. We'll call this Swing Trading 2024. We go ahead and put that up for the different options we want to look at. Now, when you go back to your stock screener, here's essentially how I go through the stocks I want to trade and how to find the actual winners out of this list of 200. So the strategies that I'm looking for to trade off of is simply called supply and demand. Okay, now if you don't know how that works, it's very, very simple. If I go ahead and go to a stock like HIMS, this is a beautiful example of a supply and demand chart that we can go ahead and actually even put on our watch list. It's one I've traded in the past. But you can see if we go on a weekly time frame, you want to look for price to make these crazy, crazy moves and then pull back into that same area where those moves were made, because history likes to repeat itself. And so if there's a lot of institutions who are buying in this area right here, when price comes back down into that zone, into that same area, more buyers are going to step in and they're going to continue to push price higher from there. And the way supply demand works is very, very simple. Okay, you only want to look for moves that have fast price action. Again, I'm just going to type it out here to make it really simple. Fast is the keyword of the day, keyword of the video. Make sure you understand this because you want to make sure that supply and demand zones are formed at fast price action. So you can see if I'm looking at HIMS right here, if I'm looking at the price action from, when we went from like $8 up to $10, that was relatively slow, right? It took about like 10, 15 different weeks. It was kind of choppy back and forth. We eventually made it, but you can see how it's a lot different than these past few weeks here when price went from $9 all the way up to $16 in just 3 to 4 weeks. This is a much faster move. And the way where we find our supply and demand zones are going to be right at the base or right at the start of where that move happened, which in this case is going to be right in this little consolidation here. Now, when we have this consolidation drawn, that's when you can go ahead and extend it out, and that is going to be your demand zone. So when price comes back down into the zone, we want to look for a move back up out of it. Now, you can see we didn't actually quite get to this one right here, but you can see on this one, we did it relatively good. You can see we had this little move down. Price had this little consolidation zone right before this huge rip higher. So that's where the base was. That's where all the buyers, institutional buyers were. So when price came back down into that area, we can set up a really, really simple and easy trade where we have our entry right at that area, stop loss right below the lows, and we can target back at the highs for a pretty solid risk reward trade. So now that we have like a small understanding of essentially supply and demand and how this all works, we can now apply it to our actually Finviz charts so we can see exactly which stocks we want to trade. And here's the process I go about doing this. What I want to do is go through these charts, just take a quick glance, quick scroll through every single page, and I'm just quickly looking and searching with my eyes if I see any really good supply demand zones that could be traded, right? And so what I'll do is go ahead and just scroll through and I'll look through and I see one right off the top of my eye. Maybe you see it too, point it out if you do, but AFRM looks pretty solid. Why do I see that? Well, I can kind of see right here, we have this very, very fast move higher and it looks like price is coming back down to it. So when I see something that looks potentially good, I'll go over to my other chart, I'll type it in, AFRM. I have a few different levels on here, we'll go ahead and delete that. And I'll scroll back down to the daily chart. And you can see we have a pretty good system right here, right? Now, I'm not a big trend lines kind of guy, but you guys can see we have a pretty decent trend mark coming through here. And what I'll also notice is that we have this nice demand zone forming right in this area here, right? You can see how price came back down. We had this nice little base. We had a very, very fast move higher, and we were even able to break structure of this high. Now, that's a whole different topic we can go into in the future, but we're in a very clear uptrend. Price is now coming back down. It's coming back into the same area where we saw that a fast move higher, just like we saw right here, right? This is a perfect example of something that already happened. Market repeats itself. Price came down. We had a very fast move higher that showed me that institutions are buying in this area right here. So when price comes back down into this area, into this zone, what does price do? We rally back out of it. Same exact thing is happening right here. When price comes back down into the zone, we're probably going to rally higher. So this is something that I would want to add to my watch list. Now that I've taken a good look at it, I've taken a good analysis, and I'm going to go ahead and set alerts at this area here, right? So I can go ahead and set alert, put it right at my demand zone, and then boom. When price comes down into my demand zone, I can go ahead and look to buy an option to have this move back higher and collect a pretty good return on this trade if it ends up working out. And so what I'll do is continue to go through this entire process as I scroll through my watch list, right? So I'll go ahead and go to the next page. We'll go ahead and scroll through and see if there's any other good setups on the way down. Now I can go ahead and do this kind of live right in front of you, and boom, just like this, it's spotted right out of my eye, BLDR. You can kind of see we have this very, very fast move here, and price is coming back down towards it. So go ahead onto my page, pull it up just like this, and I'll see the exact same thing, right? This is going to be my pretty good demand zone right in this area here. How do I know that's a good zone? Well, you can look at how fast price moved from this low all the way to this high. It's very, very fast price action, something that we haven't seen in a long time. And so if we have the base, like the little consolidation right before the move started, that's where I want to see price come back down to then look for another move higher out of that zone. So I'll go ahead and add this to the watch list, just like so. Go ahead and set my alert. And now when price comes back down into this demand zone, I will have a good idea of which option I can buy for a move higher. And you can see this happens all the time, right? Price came back down, a little bit slowly going down. You can see how the difference in speed from, a move from this 156 area all the way up to 172 is a little bit slower than a move from, 133 all the way up to 165. This one happened in just a matter of a few days, very strong gap ups. You can see we had this little consolidation right in this area here. And when price came back down into that area, that's where you want to buy, and then it continues to move higher. And so I simply go through my watch list and continue going through this until I have about 10 to 15 different stocks of ones that I think would be pretty good, or at least coming down to a different supply or demand zone. Now, I know it seems like a lot, but really it doesn't take that much time to really scroll through and go through this entire process. If you just take 5, 15, maybe even 30 minutes of your weekend to go ahead and scroll through these, you can find a lot of good different setups, add it to your watch list, and have a decent swing trading watch list with alerts set, so you can pretty much automate this entire process. You don't even need to look at your charts. You can simply just wait for your alerts to be hit, get into the option, and then set your stop loss, set your target, and walk away and let the strategy do its thing. Now, the reason I say that you want to have about 10 to 15 different stocks is because not all of these are going to trigger, right? Price may, at certain points, just bottom out right here and then continue moving higher, and your entry never gets filled, and that's okay, right? As a trader, we're here to take advantage of our edge, here to take advantage of opportunities that come to us. We're not going to chase stocks, right? So we let our watch list do the work. Maybe out of a watch list of 10 to 15 different stocks, 2 or 3 of them, we actually get our entries hit. You take 2 to 3 trades a week. If you can make some pretty good returns with that, with a pretty solid risk reward, you can make a lot of money doing so. And then once I'm done with this, I'll go ahead and do the exact same thing on the other side. So I'll go to a quarter down 10%. I'll go to week up. And like I said, there's only about 19 different stocks here, so not a lot. But I want to go ahead and see if there's any good supply demand zone setups on here that might be in a good idea. And just like this, PRGO, I can see it right off the corner of my eye. We had this little dip here, and we kind of came back up into that supply zone. So if I go ahead and type in PRGO, just like that, you can see the exact same thing happen, right? We had this nice little base drop zone. So price came up with this little consolidation, another fast move down right there. What did price do? Came back into this little consolidation zone right here. And it looks like we're already on our way back down. So I could have looked to get puts in here and now target down here at the lows under $24, right? So that's something I'd add to my watch list just like that and build my watch list from there. I build my watch list, I set my alerts, I set my stop losses and targets once I enter, and I simply let the options and the trades do the work for me. Now, I know this was kind of a quick overview of the actual setup, but these are the exact scanner settings I use to find all of these different plays. And I do this once a week on either Sunday night or Monday morning, whatever it is, and that's how I do all of my different trades to find these pretty crazy setups. Now, I know this video is a little bit short and explaining the exact strategy of supply and demand, so what I want to do for you is actually give you access to a free supply demand course, which I put inside of the vault. Now, the link is going to be in the description below. This is an incredible community that I created, and if you go overhead to the Classroom tab, you can see we have a whole course going over supply demand. Just like this, you can see all the different ideas on how I find my zones, how to draw the zones, what a high quality versus a low quality zone is, how to find them, how to actually enter and put your entries, stops, and targets using this. Okay, so it's a very high quality course, and I want to give this to you for free. And all you have to do is go ahead and click the link in the description below, join right now. And again, if you missed it earlier, the scan settings are also in here. Everything I covered in this video is right here in the stock scanning course in a PDF version. So you can go ahead, get access to this as well, see everything I showed you, and just like that, find the exact same setups I am doing. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. Join the community down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.